Welcome to our program on Kardec Radio.
Welcome, dear friends, to Kardec Radio here live in Instagram and Kardec Radio's YouTube, Facebook, and on our app as well. The app is free of charge, and you can download it to listen to Kardec Radio 24/7, and hopefully the live programs will be there as well in audio. And today, we invite you to a special study. In our Friday Inspirational Talk, we are going to be studying together today another chapter of the Gospel according to Spiritism. Many people think that this book is just to open messages and read. Yes, it is to read, but it's also to study. It's not only about being inspired, but really deepening our reflections, pondering about life. Today, we're going to talk about many important things, but most of all, our life on earth. A life, if we understand why we are here and what's going on, life's going to be much easier. So we invite you to join us as we are here together. And I know that on Instagram, you may not see everyone, but mainly the speaker of the night. But you can listen to exactly what we'll be here talking about. So right now, we invite you to a message that Paloma is going to read for us.
Hi, dear friends. We're going to read a message from the book Living Spring, Chapter 6. Accept the correction. It is true that no discipline seems pleasant at the time. It seems painful. Later on, however, it produces the peaceable fruit of the righteousness for those who have been trained by it. Paul to the Hebrews 12:11. The soil is lacerated and torn under the pressure of the plow. However, it is not long until beautiful flowers and delicious fruit burst forth from its straightened furrows. When pruned, the tree loses a lot of sap, becoming undernourished and ugly. However, in just a few weeks, it acquires new robustness, manifesting beauty and abundance. The humble water leaves the comfort of the spring, undergoes the demands of movement, reaches the great river, and then shares in the grandeur of the sea. What occurs in the simple sphere of nature also occurs in the complex realm of the soul. A correction is always hard, unpleasant, and bitter. But for those who accept its instruction, it always results in the blessed fruits of experience, knowledge, understanding, and righteousness. The soil, the tree, and the water must bear correction because they have no choice in the matter. But the human being, the champion of intelligence on the planet, is free to accept it and harbor it in his or her heart. Hence, the problem of personal happiness will never be resolved by avoiding the reparative process. Heavenly correction is obvious in every corner of the world. However, very few accept its blessing because most of the time, such a gift does not come wrapped in ermine, and when raised to the lips, it does not taste like candy. It is clothed in thorns or mixed with gall under the guise of a curative and salutary medicine. Therefore, do not waste your precious opportunity for improvement. Toil and struggle, pain and obstacles are means of purification that we should make use of.
Thank you, Paloma. Now we invite everyone to join us in a prayer as we deepen our mindful moment together. Let us visualize a light of love coming from God, enveloping us in healing, in serenity. Dear God, in this school of the earth, we are learning unprecedented lessons. The more we get to know, the more we are invited to new beginnings. And we know that there are many on earth who need help, who need a helping hand, kindness, but most of all, peace of mind. The peace that comes from duties well fulfilled, anxieties that are vanished as we fulfill our duties, and the certainty and the clarity that we find when we simply surrender to your designs. For lives we've rebelled against your designs. We resist the call to new beginnings, but we are weary, tired of it all, and even sick, as we on earth are collectively being invited to new directions. A direction where you are our north, where only love becomes the reason why we make any choice, and peace as the ultimate result of healthy choices. We visualize our unity here, creating with you baskets of healing light being delivered to everyone, as we all receive the remedies for the mind and the physical bodies, the remedies for all issues that we may present. And we visualize especially fraternity and solidarity amongst people on earth, healing zones of conflict, pacifying minds and relationships. Thank you, God, for the invitation as we, students of life, unite ourselves in another moment to strengthen ourselves by reasoning our faith with you. With your permission, we begin our session today, and so be it. All right, friends. So for those who are watching us on Instagram, unfortunately, we don't have yet a system to share with you the slides, but you can spy on us at YouTube if you want to see the slides. We're going to talk about it all. So there's nothing that you're actually going to miss. But if you want to spy on us there, we will be there. And you can check on us right there. All right. So here we are with the topic, Earth, World of Trials and Expiations. Think about it, you and I. We're on earth. And why do we wake up, everything is well, and suddenly something goes wrong? Or the reverse. Everything's going wrong and then suddenly it goes right. It feels like there is like ups and downs, a roller coaster of things. Is that normal? Yes, it is. Because on earth, we are experiencing precisely the ups and downs, ups and downs. And they are actually inside of us. They are not a byproduct of something that is in the soil of the earth, but inside of the inhabitants of the earth. Incarnates are 7+ billion people, plus 14 billion discarnates. Of all these, a third is of, more advanced nature, 2/3. Here we are, learning to advance and not to hinder any longer our progress and other people's progress. To understand more about this, let's go into the very beautiful book, The Gospel According to Spiritism. In this book, Allan Kardec is going to quote John the Evangelist in chapter 14, items 1 to 3, quoting Jesus when he said, "Let not your hearts be troubled." But are hearts troubled? Of course they are. Our hearts are troubled because of the pandemic, because of the war in Ukraine, because of this and that and the other, paying mortgage, paying this, paying that. Yes, we are. But he says, let not your hearts be troubled, Jesus says. Believe in God. Believe also in me. And he continues, there are many homes in my Father's house. He goes on and on. But why does Jesus say that to us? Because he's saying, you're not on earth forever. No. And he says, believe me. Believe in me. Believe in God, because he's sent by God. But why is he saying that? As Kardec says, the Father's house is the universe. Imagine. You are always looking at Zillow. Think of the Zillow of the universe. Contemplate. You don't need to buy because you can't buy it. It's just an illusion. Temporarily, we own something. We own something. But temporarily, soon it's going to pass to somebody else's hand. Right? But in the universe, this is where we're going to live. And he says the different dwellings are the worlds that revolve in the infinite space, offering to incarnate spirits stations appropriate to their advancement. So why are we here on earth? Because we're evolving. We need to advance. But if I wake up only thinking about the bills to pay, the house to remodel, the second house for vacation, the third house just in case we want to go somewhere else, and the 10,000 vacations we want to do every year, because there are people who begin their year and they end their year thinking about their vacations. That's all they think. They go to work thinking about a vacation. They go to, and that is just limiting. And that's why we bring back the saying, let not your hearts be troubled. So if we are troubled, what do? Believe in God. But do we? Do we? People barely. Even us who say, I believe in God, do we? When problems happen, no, we're not going to talk about God. We're going to talk about money. No, but where is the moment in which God is here, money is not, and vice versa? Emmanuel, in the book Money, is going to say, money is also from God. So how can we talk about money without God? But Vanish, we're talking about investment. Yes, you're talking about investment and taxes and etc. But you think those things are not in the jurisdiction of God? Everything is. Oh no, I'm talking about sex. Or I want to make sex. If I think of God, well, who created sex? God did. So there's no moment in which we're there having sex and God is not. Oh, that's creepy, people are going to say. So creepy. I don't want to feel that God is there. Well, then you better find a way to reconcile with God and feel that when you have sex, the presence of God is there. When you're eating, oh no, but if I am at a steakhouse, Vanessa, I can't think of God because I'm eating the meat of animals that were killed. I don't want to think about God then. Well, if you don't want to feel the presence of God at the time you're even eating a meat, what does that mean? It means we are out of sync. We're not talking about not dealing with money, not having sex, not eating meat, not buying clothes. When you go shopping, where is God when you go shopping? We need to find a way to reconcile and seek God everywhere we go, in everything we do. When we do that, our life is so much easier. Interesting enough, Kardec says that these words that Jesus said about the many dwellings may also be understood as referring to our happy or unhappy state when we are in an errant state. So he's talking about erraticity, which means the in-between incarnations. So after we die, the physical body dies, we discarnate. Before we reincarnate in this space-time, what are we doing? Are we happy or unhappy? It depends. So do we want to know what's going to happen the minute we discarnate? Well, read the 16 books by Andrea Luiz, beginning with No Solar. Let us read it, reread it, study. It begins with No Solar, Our Home, and goes through all the books till And Life Goes On. It's a must that we read and study to understand the whole 9 yards of the consequences of our choices here into the afterlife and vice versa, and our choices there and how we're going to reincarnate, and so on and so forth until we evolve and become pure spirits, as he's going to say in the book Evolution into Worlds. So now, Kardec is going to explain to us that some who cannot leave the sphere, some who are very attached, cannot leave where they are. They discarnate and they stay there in the family group. It doesn't feel good to anybody, neither to the spirit. Others can travel through space and go to other worlds, like Mozart, who had an internship in Jupiter, came back to the Earth to tell Kardec at Kardec's time. You can read more about this in the Spiritist magazine. The website and the app are there available to you, spiritistmagazine.org or .com. And there's an issue that has the cover, Mozart, on the cover, and we can read about it. But when we're guilty, what happens to us? We wander in darkness. So if today, at this moment, we have guilt in our hearts, The question is, who doesn't at some point? How are we dealing with this guilt? Because if we just try to push it aside and to stay away, escape, it's going to stay with us, and that's going to make us stay in that state of guilt, wandering in dark zones, the lower zones to say the least. But those who are righteous, the blessed ones, will enjoy in the afterlife resplendent light, sublime spectacle of the infinite. To tell us more, Kardec is going to say that the evil spirit, tormented by remorse and lamentation, will frequently be alone, without consolation, and will be separated from the objects of affection, groans under the duress of mental suffering. And you may say, I'm not an evil spirit. We don't want to label anybody, but evil spirit means those who make wrong things. Don't we make wrong things as well? Don't we have remorse? Don't we lament about certain things? If we don't go through a good therapist to deal with the remorse, with that guilt, that lamentation, go deep inside to sort it out and get out of it, we will be exactly in that scenario. Look at the book 2,000 years ago. Emmanuel, through Chico Xavier, tells us the story of Pontius Pilate. Pontius Pilate was not a happy spirit. He was a womanizer. He had many addictions. And one time he killed himself at some point. In the afterlife, there is a moment in which Emmanuel shows to us the state of mind of Pontius Pilate. He's wandering around the capital of the world at the time, Rome, and he is admiring a new event that is being organized in the Roman city, and he says how much he misses all of that. So he's still attached. He hasn't learned. Well, till then. By now he knows. But back then, right after his discarnation, he's still around. And he's still attached. And he's still mistaken. And he's still lamenting. But those who are righteous, who renounce, who sacrifice themselves, they will be reunited with those whom they love, enjoying the delights of an indescribable bliss. And that's the example in the book 50 Years Later. Celia, to the world, she was a nobody. But in the spiritual realm, you will see, as in the pictures portrayed from the book, into this beautiful project by Américo Sucena in Brazil, Project Image, showing the end of the book 50 years later, showing all the characters in the spiritual realm being reorganized for a future reincarnation, and the one who was the least famous, the least prestigious, the least everything, Celia, comes in their presence from a higher sphere because she ascended. And she's helping all of them, but she's far above because she sacrificed, because she learned to be truly altruistic. This week, at the beginning of the week, Mentor Joseph was explaining to us that God did not create us to care about ourselves alone. He created us to be co-creators. Many people, when they think about it, we become spiritual and we say, I'm praying, I'm reading these books, I'm helping the homeless. And yet, we're not doing the major part of the work. We don't have a check external duties. It's the inner. We're not here simply to say, I'm taking a shower, cleaning the house, and going to work and helping the family. No. We are here to co-create in a greater spectrum. And what is greater? To really reinvent ourselves. Reinvent ourselves is to be completely different from majority of people on earth. Majority of people on earth, they wake up, go to work, come back, help the family. If that's all we do, in spite of all the knowledge that we have, we're failing. Because the day we really do the deal, we not only do those things, but we go out of that box. Out. What is out of the box? It's when we are driving from home to work, we see a beggar. And instead of continuing, we go out of our way, go to the bank, get some money, or get a gift card, go back and give to the person. It's when a colleague at work knocks at our door and say, I don't know how to work on this software. Can you help me, please? And you have a deadline. And you don't worry about yourself. You forget about your needs. And you go out of your way to help somebody else. And from then on, you can imagine how we're going to reinvent ourselves. It's when we go to a restaurant, not only to eat, but we pray. We make eye contact and we pray for every person we encounter, for every cashier, for every waiter and waitress, because we know that we're not there alone. That we can go to the nail salon and do our nails, but we look at that person in the eye, and while they are doing our nails, we are praying for them. We are visualizing the good spirits visiting their home without saying a word. This is when we really, really walking the talk. And much more, of course. There's much more. We're talking about the minute things. It's when we do the laundry with love. And we fold the clothes with love. And if you think I'm crazy, it's not only a spiritist concept, it's an universal idea. Marie Kondo teaches that. Go to Netflix and watch. Marie Kondo, a Japanese home organizer who teaches us about how to transform our homes into a happy home. Do you think your home is a happy home? What do you need to do to make your home a happy home? What do you need to do? Do happy things. Yeah, if we keep watching things that are not happy, if we keep talking about things that are not happy, we're not transforming our houses in happy homes. Then, we're talking about detachment of material things. In that very chapter, when Kardec quotes Jesus, "Let not your hearts be troubled. Believe in God. Believe also in me. There are many homes in my Father's house." He's talking about detachment. Kardec explains to us that the spirit's environment, its point of view regarding things, the sensations it experiences, and its perceptions will vary infinitely. depending on its degree of purification, how detached it is from material ties. So if I keep a pen in my house, I don't use it, but I say, I may use one day, but I never do. Somebody gave it to me. I can't give it to anybody else. If I keep giving excuses for keeping it without really, what is it doing? I'm attached. And as I'm attached, when I discarnate, my sensations and perceptions in the spiritual realm will vary to the infinite compared to other spirits. And when we talk about sensations and perceptions, it's interesting. I have a diagram here in front of me for those who are now seeing this on Instagram or listening to us in the app, showing lemons, orange, and a grapefruit. So here we have the stimulus creating sensation. So it's the stimulus that go into the molecules that stimulate our cranial nerves, that connect with our peripheral nervous system, traveling into the central nervous system, creating a perception. Oh, it's grapefruit. How many of us have different perceptions of the same stimuli? I can show you this pink pen. And for me, I have a memory with it, a friend who gave it to me, and I love using this pen. I love the pink. I love writing with it when I need. Maybe you're going to look at this and say, oh, pink, so girly. I don't like the pink, or I don't care about pink, da-da-dee-da-da-da. Or you may say, oh, I love pink, and I remember this. So each person will perceive the stimuli in completely different ways. And that's the same Kardec says in the Spirit's book when he talks about the perispirit being the center of our processing of sensations and perceptions. We think the physical eyes are actually creating all of it, but actually it's just a filter through which we're processing it all. It continues in the afterlife. To deepen our understanding about how important it is to detach, we're going to travel into the Spirit's book by Kardec. Question 895. When Kardec asks, what is the most characteristic sign of imperfection? And the answer is astonishing because it says personal interest. But Vanessa, should I not be interested in things? Yes. But if you're talking to somebody because it's personally interesting for you in the sense, oh, I calculate, I'm going to talk to that person because they have a house that has the same issues as mine, or because in that house there is somebody who can help in my house, and then I keep focusing my sensations and my perceptions into that, then I'll be in trouble. I'll be in trouble when I get to know that that personal interest is going to be in my way. Instead of connecting with everybody in my life, I will be instead getting in the way of the true relationships that we need to have with everyone. So I talk to you because you know somebody that is important for me, or because you have money, or because you have that car, or because you have those clothes, or because you have that person, or whatever that is, the job, and you live in that place, and then you have that title. And then at the end of the day, attachment is just being created, as the spirits say to Kardec, constituting the evident sign of inferiority. The more one is attached, the less they understand about their destiny. Should we be detached? Yes. Does that mean we're going to simply not care about anything else? No. That is not detachment. That's indifference and irresponsibility. We need to be good caregivers, let's say this way, of God's things, because we're going to be held accountable. So on earth, we are in this world to learn how to live in the world without being of the world. And here is our dear St. Augustine talking about characteristics of our lives on earth. He's going to say, on earth, yes, people have superior intelligence. Yes, that's true. We do. But he says, though we're not primitive, in this world we have numerous vices. And some people think that vices is all about drugs and alcohol. No, it could be coffee. It could be sugar. It could be slandering. It could be rage. It could be many vices, addictions in general, showing that it's the greatest sign of moral imperfection on earth. It's so true. Just to give a very simple example, our society is so morally imperfect that it's hard to find a social gathering without alcohol. And people laugh, they say, can you have fun without alcohol? Well, come home and I'll show you it's possible. It is possible. Can you have fun without a lot of food? Well, Jesus, as our guide and model, showed how to have fun with simple bread and fish, very frugal. We're far from it, and we suffer in our very physiology because of our own lack of moderation, our vices. That's why St. Augustine explains, God has placed us in this ungrateful planet, Earth, so we can atone, expiate our wrongs. How? Through pain-filled labor. It's like you wash your clothes today. The laundry basket is empty. Tomorrow, it's all back up. And we're like, oh my gosh, that's painful. Again, you pay the bills and next month, oh no, again. And then you take a shower and next day, thank God we like taking a shower, right? But some people don't, they're bothered. They're like, I don't, again, I have to brush my teeth 2-3 times a day minimum. Yes. But I want to do this. I want to do that. Sometimes people don't even give themselves time to eat. And that's why we have all these gastrointestinal disorders in our society. Because we eat fast. We're not mindful eaters. And we don't eat nourishing ourselves. We just shove the food into our mouth. We cannot handle it. And we have all these disorders that we do. I can talk about it myself. Learning. As a mother, sometimes you learn to eat fast because your kid is there and the things to do. And then you are all destroying your gastrointestinal system. So what's the lesson? Take your time. We've never heard Jesus as our guide and model rushing, right? So Peter Joseph always said, Vanessa, Jesus didn't swallow the bread. He ate the bread. Piece by piece. Nobody has ever described that Jesus was skipping meals, that he was not eating mindfully. He was very serene, never drunk, always moderate. On earth, besides majority of us who are atoning or expiating, Kardec shares with us that St. Augustine shares that there are smaller groups of spirits who have just left infancy. They are taking their internships here. They are primitive peoples. Some of them may be indigenous peoples on earth. They may be great, naive, and people say, oh, I think they're more evolved than us. I remember in Baltimore, some friends of mine saying, I think the indigenous people they may be more evolved than us. I don't know. I cannot tell. Yes. But some of them, they are semi-civilized. Is this a discrimination? No, it's just an evaluation. There are people who are not indigenous and are very primitive. So we cannot point finger and say, oh, indigenous person primitive, semi-civilized. Somebody who is in New York or São Paulo or in Tokyo or in Australia, in Sydney, Australia, oh, they are more advanced. No, they may be primitive. And what does characterize it? The intellectual advancement is not very evolved, and their moral characteristics are not very evolved either. So we could be in any of those conditions and places and shoes, and yet be either advanced or more primitive. So who is expiating on earth? We are. Why? Many of us, because we lived in other worlds before being on earth, and we were exiled because the world advanced, but we didn't. So then we ended up here because we persisted in evil. Oh no, I don't persist in evil. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. When we persist in going against the God's laws of God. And we do it almost every day. Those who were a cause of disturbance to the good inhabitants. There are people who are trying to do the good. They are there working, for example, in spiritist centers. Day in, day out, and there are people who just stop by one day and they slander, they think they know better, or they are passive aggressive. They don't help. They're like, yeah, this is not my job. If you're not helping, you're disturbing. In the Spirit's book, we get to know that not committing evil is not enough. Not doing good means we are doing evil, because the good that is left undone, we're going to have to respond for it. So if people are working hard to make things right and we don't partake, we are doing evil and disturbing the good that the inhabitants are creating. And because we are atoning and expiating, we're living among spirits that are less advanced than us. And that's why we feel sometimes so superior. I can't believe these people, as if we're so superior, because if we were, we wouldn't be here. Because we're still rebelling against God's laws. So if you want to know more about God's laws, as we want to know, in the Spirit's book by Kardec, in the third part of the book, we have all the 10 laws well explained, from law of worship to law of justice, love, and charity. All the laws well explained, question by question, answer by answer. And then we can go there as a checklist and say, am I doing this? Am I fulfilling that? If not, let's write it down and create a coaching program based on those laws so we can advance. Our progress is not timed by God. Our progress is actually dictated by us. If we want to evolve from point A to Z in a minute, we can. It takes a decision. If we want to travel from point A to point C in millions of years, we can. But then in the very complex path we are going to do, we're going to suffer the consequences of our choices. To end our study today, just for this moment, as we open for reflections and questions, St. Augustine says that the main goal of our life on earth, since it is a school of tests, of experiences, we need to develop the qualities of the heart and of intelligence. We need to open our hearts and also to evolve in our intelligence. So when we send our kids to school, it's important. When people tell me, oh, school, please don't say that, because that's the least we can do to evolve is to go to school. It's important, but it doesn't suffice. We need to improve our moral qualities, the qualities of the heart, to really, really advance, to be truly interested in fulfilling God's designs. Because at the end of the day, as Jesus said, believe in God, believe also in me. Let not your hearts be troubled, because this life shall pass, and we will continue living not only on earth, but in other places in God's universe, which is our Father's house. We're going to stop for a moment to reflect amongst ourselves as we have friends here with us, joining us, and those who are here, Narciso, Slavic, Sol, Katya, John, De Rosa, Daniel. For those who were on Instagram, we had an issue with the sound, so we had to turn it off. We apologize. So for those who are here with us, we want to talk about where we are in this understanding that we're here on earth to go through this experience of not persisting in evil, not rebelling against God's laws, and not disturbing the works of the good that already exist on earth, meanwhile helping others also to advance. Luciana.
It's very important for us to learn to study the Spirit's books, because without those books, we will be lost. Because only there we can find the tools to help us to really do this co-creation, this transformation in ourselves. Otherwise, we are dragged and pushed away through the emotions that the planet is pushing us through. But when we stop and start learning and study, we can start seeing that we are eternal beings, spirit beings, that we need to see our life different. So we need to remind ourselves that we are spirit living this experience here, but we need to transform. While we are here having this opportunity, we need to transform ourselves, the planet, doing the good, co-creating every time. But only when we truly know and feel that we are a child of God, that we are true spirit, we are going to be able to do. And here's the only place that we can acquire this teaching so we can progress.
You're right. I like when you say the word progress, right? Because when you're saying the word progress, it's so important, Luciana. How many people think they don't progress? They are always going to end up the way they are. They have that feeling like, I'm not progressing. I'm still struggling. And Mentor Joseph says, be careful, because there are spirits who want us to believe we're not progressing. But you need to be the first one to value the divine in you and see that inevitably we're progressing, because we never regress. Right? Paloma.
What I was thinking was that it's so important for us to understand our reincarnatory environment. And for all of us, we are on planet Earth. And the understanding of what the trials and expiations are, and then taking that and looking into ourselves to see, where do we fit in this picture? Why are we here? Which a lot of us asks, why are we here? What are we supposed to do? And looking into our planet and understanding it gives us a big hint that we are still expiating a lot from our past. We are still learning with our errors that are current. But at the same time, as Lou was saying, we are progressing, which are our trials. And, there's only good to come as long as we are moving along in this transition process. So, a reminder for us to keep looking within ourselves, putting our picture in this big world. What are we doing? And what else can we do to contribute, of course, with Jesus and his team?
You're right. Contribute with why, right, Paloma? Because he's the governor of the planet.
Yes.
Right? So we want to participate. Well, Narciso is asking, how do we develop our intelligence? Big question, Narciso. Mamma mia, thank you for asking this, but this is a huge question. We have so many different types of intelligence. In psychology alone, we have several theories of different types of intelligence. And we would say, let's summarize to 3, just to help us. Intelligence in terms of intellectual intelligence, emotional intelligence, and spiritual intelligence. So there's so many ways for us to develop it. Intellectual intelligence, it's not only about going to school, but that helps by doing courses, taking courses, by reading books. But like Leon Denis, we don't need to depend on schools. And nowadays, when people say, I'm bored at home, I don't have money to pay for my college. Well, I know if you're worried about a degree, okay, I understand. But you can take 10,000 courses from Ivy League universities without paying a single penny. You can take all the courses, grab the knowledge. Of course, if you want the certificate, you have to pay, but you can take the courses without paying the course. And that's how we develop our intelligence, as well as from our experience in the practical, the day-to-day life. That's why we say there are people who are street smart, because they are learning from experience and thus developing there in the challenges of life. We are developing our intelligence as well. And for example, if people invite you to do something and you don't know how to do it, well, figure out a way, but do it, because it is in doing that we learn, that we progress. You're not going to be an imposter. You're just going to be developing. Like a physician, they got the degree. When they are seeing the first patients, what do they know? Oh, yeah, they have their residency, etc. And yet, when you compare with a knowledge that has 10, 20, 30 years of experience, what do they know? Almost nothing. And yet, they are fulfilling it. And in that, they are advancing their intelligence. But then there's this emotional intelligence that requires awareness. They require sometimes, I am a firm believer that one day on earth, We're getting there, not quite, but we're getting there. We're going to incorporate at least 50% of our curriculum is going to be focused on emotional intelligence, because that's the progress of the earth. We need to learn about relationships to really be good, in our very development. And then there's spiritual intelligence. And of course, our earth is still in the, I'm not going to say fetal level. Let's give it a chance. Let's say we are in the pre-K steps of our spiritual intelligence on earth. Pre-K as a collective, because there are people who do not even recognize God. And those who do still split, they chop, they fragment their lives so much. God doesn't enter my house when I talk about money, as we said at the beginning. God is not when I am talking about sex or having sex. God is not when I'm eating, when I'm taking a shower. Oh, Vanessa, it's creepy. I'm in the bathroom thinking of God. Well, God invented everything you're doing in the bathroom. Why are you ashamed? He is not, he's not disgusted by it. God doesn't feel disgust. And why is God not there with us when we are doing 10,000 things? So it shows to us that our spiritual intelligence is still in the baby steps as a collective on earth. So there are many ways. And as you're saying, Narciso, taking courses, but there's one more. If you can't, let's say by chance, you work and you do many things and you don't have time, and when you go to sleep, you can go to spiritual universities, institutes, take courses, learn. When you wake up, you'll be surprised that when you go to sleep, you come back and you got to know so many things. It's possible to expedite our progress by using wisely our sleep time. Right? Talking about developing intelligence, our children and teens always have a space in our day, and today they learned something quite interesting, right, Daisy?
Yes, Nissa. So today we were talking about self-care. So how we take care of our physical bodies and of course our spiritual bodies, because as we're talking here, we know we're spiritual beings, right? So we have a spiritual body. So the children, we read together this beautiful story saying how we can be grateful and thankful for our bodies, because our not only the things that we do, but our words, our feelings, as we're talking about emotional intelligence, and our thoughts too, they influence our physical bodies. So that manifests in our physical bodies. So we share with the children the importance of really paying attention on that, because that even gonna makes us healthier or that will make us sick. So a great lesson and a lot for us to learn and to practice. Right, Carol?
Right here.
Right, Daisy. And part of our teamwork effort to invest on the children's spiritual and emotional intelligence was to invite them for their hard work to speak to their selves with gratitude. So they are invited to say to their selves, "Dear selves, you are so good to us because." We will express our gratitude to all of you by, and in that way, they use their intellectual intelligence to impact their emotional and spiritual well being using their reasoning, as Kardec proposes reasoned faith leading to progress.
It's beautiful. So we have a lot to learn. Thank you, Carol. And though we're not in a child's body anymore, we keep on learning. That's the beauty of it all. Some people, we see that they are aging physically, and they start telling their brains, "I'm too old. I'm too old to learn. I don't have much time to live. And they are only 50, 60, 70, 80. And they're like, they are already putting an end to their progress. And it's so sad because when we limit ourselves in that way, it's as if we're telling God, God, why am I here? There's no use for me anymore. So let me go. And we forget that God is saying, oh, there's so much more for you to learn, to progress, to do. People need you. Why? Because you know of many things that the young ones don't know. So you better give them a hand. You better be present. You better not be absent. You better help, reach out. So the older we get, the more responsible we are for everything we know, for everything we lived, and our obligation to reach out to those who are coming to through the new generations so they can keep evolving without making the same mistakes that we did, because we are going to be there for them, giving a hand and saying, maybe that way could be better. Let me share a story with you. And then they avoid mistakes, to say the least. There's much for us to learn with the new generation as well, because they come to bring us the new that we haven't come to know. So as somebody whom I know who was talking to me through the Apple Watch, and I found, you see, no matter how old we are, there's always something new for us to learn. As we are speaking through softwares or equipment that we've never used in that way, we're opening new opportunities for us to progress, right? And as Narciso is pointing out, yes, Narciso, using our sleep time, making it an intelligent sleep to maximize the progress of this reincarnation. As we're feeling optimistic, let us march to the final part of our inspiration tonight, as we are granted the opportunity to receive the spiritual passes, followed by a community work in prayer led by Luciana, right?
So let us close our eyes, feeling the presence of the doctors and nurses from the beyond that were working on us since we connect with them to nourish our souls. Visualizing ourselves in this peaceful environment, in a place where Master Jesus can come with his team and help us, applying us dispersive energies so that all that ground us and keep us in dark places, in places that don't let us evolve and progress. His team works on us as they set us free. And now we feel ourselves lighter and lighter. And our perispirit is being bathed in this bright light, full of energies, full of vitamins, and all that our spirit needs to align itself with the vibration of our Creator. And as we continue to let this healing permeate our perispirit and spiritual body, we can now feel on the physical body this energy is permeating and healing every cell, every part of our physical body. We feel like a waterfall is washing the body, letting it go all the dirt, all the heavy materials and connections we made. We feel clean, and this water continue bathing us. And the rays of light warmth ourselves and align our chakras and align ourselves with the flow of love. We now feel that we are truly connected with our Creator. We allow Him to heal us, and we feel restored and re-energized with His love. And as we continue feeling the love surrounding us, we can see that this light is so bright that it illuminates not only our homes, but the whole neighborhood. Everyone is being enveloped in this healing bright light. The planet Earth is being enveloped in these healing energies as well. And everyone in both realms of life are being healed in this moment, in this time. And now, as we feel the harmony between us and our Creator, we come together to pray and to say thank you to God for all and everything that was provided to us throughout this life, throughout this reincarnation. We are thankful for being able to be born on the planet Earth, to have our parents, our family, and our extended family, where we can be co-creating with the Lord. Thank you, God, for providing us Kardec Radio, the Spirit Centers, and places of light in which we can come to connect, nourishing our souls and restore our energies so we can have the strength and the courage to co-create with you. And as we work in the good, we feel the blessings that we receive daily. And we see our brothers and sisters in greater need in us. And for that we pray that we can be the ones that can help them out. They can be the helping hands. They can be the extended hand of God in their lives. We pray for everyone in need, for all our brothers and sisters that are ill, sick in their homes, in their hospitals, sick of the body and the physical body or the spiritual body and their mind. We continue praying for them, dear Father. And as we pray, and with joy in our hearts, we want to continue feeling these vibrations of love. But with your permission, dear Father, we would like to close this healing, therapeutic, and educational moments that we have this night. And let us prepare ourselves to continue learning and growing as we go to sleep. And for now, we close the meeting of tonight with your permission, and so be it.
So we want to thank everyone for joining us at Kardec Radio once again in the Spirit Society of Virginia on Sunday at 11 a.m. We will be there at the Spirit Society of Virginia headquarters for another study of Life in Two Worlds. It's going to be about paraspiritual lesions. We'll be broadcasting as well. But if you're local, come on over. And we have also lessons for our children and our teens right there in our very headquarters. Of course, the pandemic is not over, though we have low levels of COVID. We have other things as well. So we ask everyone to please, if you are coughing, if you are sneezing frequently, if you have a runny nose, do not come in person. Stay home. Because though it may not be COVID, it's something else. All right? So we want to make sure that people come and they can enjoy that experience for the week. And John DeRosa is kindly saying, when we consciously begin to make praying for and helping others, then God will make sure that opportunities will appear to make helping others into a new habit. Thank you, friends. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, John. Thank you, Narciso, Franklin. Thank you, Katya, Sol, Slavic, and everyone else who was also joining us in Instagram platform. We wish you a lovely evening and or day whenever you are watching or listening to this. Thank you, friends. Till next time.